Hi, everybody. Glad you could join us. We're going to go down a little bit of MPI Texas Hill Country Chapter Memory Lane. We have a delightful panel with us today. We've got all kinds of experiences on MPI Texas Hill Country Chapter, and they're going to tell us all about it. So we're going to have a little conversation. We're going to start by just letting everybody say hi and to introduce themselves. And I think what we'll do, let's start with you, Joe.
Well, good to see everybody. Welcome. My name is Joe Bedsole, and I am the Austin Satellite Office for the Arlington Convention and Visitors Bureau. I am the current chapter president, and not unlike my VP of Finance here, Debbie Farnham, it is my second go-round as chapter president. And again, welcome.
Well, Debbie, how about you?
I'm glad everybody can join us today. I'm Debbie Farnham. I'm currently retired, but I actually have a little side hustle of my own, a little meeting planning consulting business that I do when friends call upon me. Like Joe had said, I served as president a couple of times, and I feel like I've been around MPI for a long time, and I hope you'll feel the same way when you're a part of MPI.
Well, speaking of people who have served as president and may well do so again, how about Cherry K. Abel?
That's right. I'm back. Welcome, everybody, to MPI THCC. I'm Cherry K. Abel. I've been a member since 2010, and I currently am the Director of Sales at Visit Bastrop. And yes, I will be coming on as the chapter president later on in the summer. So please join, and please join the team, and we're going to have a great time.
All right, and we have Annette Nixon with us today.
Well, hello and welcome. My name is Annette, and I am with Something to Remember Promotional and Branding Products. I opened up that business shortly after COVID, and I've been serving, I've been a member of the Hill Country chapter since 2005. However, I wasn't too active, but now I'm ready to give it all I got. It's a great chapter, and I do participate in a lot of the events, and my goal is to serve this time and get more involved.
Well, we're happy to have you there, Annette. My name is Jeff Rasco, and I'm a longtime member. I am semi-retired, Debbie, doing the best I can. But I have lots and lots of MPI memories, and I'm just really looking forward to sharing them with you along with my colleagues here at the panel. So I am going to go sort of round robin here. We've got a sort of an introductory question about when you joined and how you heard about it and your role. We talked a little bit about our roles, but we can reiterate those. So let's start with Annette. Annette, when did you join? How did you hear about the association? Did you join THCC first, or were you a member of another chapter? And you mentioned your role coming on MPI THCC, but tell us a little bit more.
Yes, I joined in 2005 when I started working at the San Antonio Convention and Visitors Bureau as their Director of Sales and Marketing. And of course, I joined, and because of my role, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get very involved like I wanted to. So instead, I decided to join the CMP study group, and I got my certification back in 2008. So it took me a little while, but I did get it, and that was a real big accomplishment. And yeah, it's been a great association. The connections have been phenomenal. The educational component is very important to me, and I love the people that I've met. So yeah, it's been a great experience so far.
You know, you mentioned the going out for the CMP. We actually have a CMP study program going on right now. What does the group think of the value of CMP or CMM other credentials? Why did you do it, Annette?
Well, I did it because many of the meeting planners that I work with, whether I was with the CVB or when I worked for Freeman or the DMC part, I've been doing several different roles. many of the meeting planners will recognize that certification, and that automatically became a something in common that we had. And they many times they would give us a business just because they were CMP and so was I. So I think there is a connection there. It does open up a lot of doors, and I'm glad I did it.
Debbie, you're a CMP emeritus.
Well, I guess that means you're has been. But no, I'm very much like Annette. I joined MPI in 2003, and I was in my 50s because I'd made several career changes and made several physical moves and moved to Austin in 2001 and was employed by an association. And Jeffrey Bell, who was the immediate past president at the time, I believe, came by to visit me because he was with Arlington, I think, at the time, and mentioned MPI to me. He said, if you're going to be a meeting planner, you need to join this. And I was like, okay, so where do I join? And so I joined and immediately found out about the CMP program. And honestly, when I became a meeting planner, I didn't know the difference between a CEO and a BEO. I didn't know there was any, I didn't know what it was. So for me, CMP taught me everything I needed to know and more. And I jumped in feet first and studied. Actually took it 1 year, took the study course, and then took it again because I felt like, because I was so young in the business, that I needed to do it twice. And so I took the course twice and then sat for the test and got the certification in 2006. So it was the best thing that ever happened to me because it led to more job opportunities. It led to just learning about the business, just from every angle. And I really do credit it with giving me the tools that I needed to do what I did as a meeting planner. I think I would have really been at a loss without it. And the emeritus part just means that you're retired and that you spent some years as a CMP, and now you're rewarded with that little emeritus behind your name. So, but it was absolutely the best thing. And then I went on to lead the study group for many years, and that was an absolute joy to see and to share education with people who are aspiring to be CMPs and encourage them and let them know that this is a good thing you're doing. It's good for you. It's good for your career. It's just a very, very good thing.
Now, Lachelle, you've been a member really off and on, right? So it says 2019 is when you joined, but I know you've been a member before. Tell us
Yes,
a little bit about your story.
yeah, I have throughout my career, on and off. This last time I joined 2019. And once I joined, then I started going to TEC. So that's kind of what I did once I rejoined, attended TEC, and I started getting involved more and more and meeting a lot of people and meeting a lot of wonderful board members, and they just kind of helped me along the way. And before I knew it, I was getting a call from someone who asked me to, join the committee. So I did. I joined the committee where I helped out and writing the Volunteer of the Month stories until that individual left. And then I became the author of Volunteer of the Month stories, which that was exciting. It was not something that I thought I could ever do. I mean, I enjoyed writing, but I didn't consider myself as a writer until I started doing that. So it was just to be able to see how things progress. And then from that, now I'm VP of Communications. So who knew? So it's in there. So you guys helped me pull that all out. So I really cherish everything that I've learned and all the people that I've met.
Sherry Kay, tell us a little bit about your story.
Well, I was a planner back in the years ago, and Joe had stopped by the office. I was officing out of San Marcos, and he stopped by and he kept
That's right.
he kept coming by, and I was like, okay, what does this man want? So we visited, and he told me how wonderful MPI had been for him. So that's when I joined, and actually Joe has been my mentor ever since, and we have served on boards together, and we'll be serving on he'll be on my past president in the summer. And that's how I got involved in the industry. And then I just jumped on board, kind of like Lachelle, and I found, of course, I'm a talker. I found my niche, and MPI has actually become part of my family. I mean, it's like I can count on any of these individuals in this panel and many more. And it's just been a very beautiful journey, I will say, along the way.
Well, I wanted to end with Joe, because Joe and I have a story that actually goes back a pretty long way. So how did we get together, Joe, and when was that?
Well, smartest thing I ever did career-wise, I think, is joining MPI. And very early in my career in 1990, I went to work for the Marriott down in Corpus Christi, Texas. And our director of sales at the time said, you need to join this meetings industry organization. You're going to be making calls in Houston and Austin and San Antonio and Dallas. And this is where you're going to meet people. And you have to remember, this is a time before computers. We couldn't just pull people's information up at a fingertip. So that, getting in and getting that membership was your key to developing future business for your hotel. So that's the situation that I was in. And at the time, as it is today, Corpus Christi was covered by this chapter. So I did join the Texas Hill Country chapter. And I'll never forget my first event. It was at the Palace, it was the Wax Museum down there across from the Alamo in San Antonio. And I ran into a friend of mine that I had met in Corpus already, Maya Beatty, who was also there too. And we had a great time, great reception, wandered through the Wax Museum and had some fun with some of the figures, so to speak. Some of them were better than others, let's just say that. But the key thing was I met the director of membership, which was a lady, may she rest in peace, but Tilly Reiner, who was with the San Antonio CVB at the time. And she took me aside and she said, Joe, next time you're in town, let me take you to lunch. So I was in town again the following month, and we did go to lunch, and she sat me down and she just said, here's the different ways to get involved. So I joined her committee, and that was back in 1990, and we ended up hosting a weekend event for the chapter in Corpus Christi. And so that was almost immediate in my first year of membership. Then about a year and a half later, I took a job in Houston working for the Wyndham Greenspoint, transferred my membership to the Houston area MPI chapter, and they were looking for a board position to fill. So I signed on to be on that board of directors, the very first board of directors I was ever on in any industry organization. And that is where I met the one and only Jeff Rasco in 1992.
So yeah, that was a fun time, but it shows really what friendships. Yeah, I mean they're business relationships, but these are friendships that you make through MPI. And I joined in 1982, so I actually joined MPI the year before the Texas Hill Country chapter was formed and chartered. And I was down in Houston, same thing. I got a call from somebody, and it's like I got into MPI on a fluke because the people that were recruited from I was at MD Anderson Cancer Center, and the people that were recruited couldn't join. They just weren't the right people, and so they said, "Well, get Jeff." And I didn't know anything about it, but I figured, I don't know that much about meeting planning either, so this is where I'm going to learn how to do it. And from there, I overcame my fear of public speaking by making myself get up and do things at board meetings and at educational sessions in Houston, and got to meet all these people. I had a chance to, after having served as president of the Houston chapter, MPI Global called and said, "Hey, we're trying to form a committee to look at chapter standards, and we're looking for all ex-presidents." And I said, "Okay." So I got involved at the international level, which led to international board position, which I was on the board of trustees of the MPI Foundation and other various international committees, but never quit the chapter level service either. I was on the boards of our chapters both in Houston and in the Hill Country. And I can say, I mean, career wise, talking about what it's done for careers is, when I started attending management, I just went directly to my MPI friends, and they came along and they brought business. And now 20 years later, 20 something years later, I can still count on MPI as the source of the vast majority of the business that we've had. I mean, it's just been as Joe said, it's the best decision I ever made. Joining MPI and working within the organization, helped not only the organization but me. So I was glad to do it. It's been the best thing I ever did. So any other like direct impact, career impacts that you've had based on your experiences with MPI? Do you get a job because of somebody you knew, for instance?
I will raise my hand to that one. When I was leaving when it was during a part of a recession, and so my job in San Marcos went down to part-time, and so I worked from home. I went ahead and worked from home for a little while, and then I reached out to some of my MPI colleagues, and I was able to land a supplier job, and so I was very thankful. And then just springboarded to becoming the executive director for an association. So it was because of those contacts and all the networking that I had done that helped me move up in my career pretty fast. So I was very, very blessed with that. And so I'm always, when we have our networking events, I'm always out there helping the new generation come on board, and, letting them know if you ever need any help or you need to know any contacts, reach out. I'll try to help out the best I could or can.
Yeah, I think everybody would agree. One of the things that was sort of a added benefit is that, getting to work on committees and, serving on the board taught me so much about leadership. It just there's so many, there's just so much information, so much documentation that's available through the chapter and through MPI Global to help you just become a better almost everything. Now I had to figure out how to be a dad on my own, but the rest of it, all came from MPI. So who else has a career story?
I just wanted to say if I can jump in very quickly.
Please.
My biggest committee that I served was the Texas Educational Conference. That was really very enjoyable. San Antonio got to host that, so I figured it's right in my backyard. I might as well get involved. And I served in a couple of different committees and got involved, met a lot of wonderful people from throughout the state. And also it was a bonding experience with my colleagues with MPI, the Texas Hill chapter. So that's why I say for anyone that's new, they really should get involved. I regret not getting involved in the beginning, but my career was so demanding that I couldn't do it. So now that I'm older, wiser, I'm definitely going to get involved.
Great.
I just like to say that when I first became a meeting planner, as I said, I didn't know much about it until I got my CMP, but I made connections through being on the registration committee. That was the best thing ever, because if you're on the registration committee, you sit at the desk and you see every person who walks in the door, whether they're a member, a guest, a new member, whatever, and you really get to meet everybody. And through that committee, I met a person at an association who contacted me just out of the clear blue and asked me if I was interested in maybe perhaps leaving the association I was with and moving to this much larger association. I was with an association that had 5 employees, and this association had 500. So it was a big step for me. And I'm very thankful for that connection that I had. And I would not have had it if I had not been an MPI, that was the sole way that we knew each other. It wasn't through anything else. And so I credit that with giving me that step up into a senior meeting planner position through my association at MPI. So it's been the best thing. And then the other thing is it's led to lifelong friendships.
That it has. Hey,
Lifelong
Nat,
friendships.
you mentioned the Texas Education Conference, and Lachelle, you said something about TEC as well. Another thing too is, you know, the international meetings. There's tons of them, but Global MPI Global does a WEC, the World Education Conference, and it's going to be in San Antonio in 26, correct? So there's going to be a lot of work to be done there. But don't miss a chance to get to international meetings. That's another way, you know, that you really get to meet some interesting people from all over the world, and it just, you know, it builds your relationships and builds your career.
One of the things,
You know, you talk about those relationships, and when Debbie was speaking, it reminded me of this point, place, and time from March of 2020 until, you know, pretty much the summer of 21, when we were all stuck inside and in quarantine and you know, shifting our focus, if you will, from working from home. And one of the things that this group did, that this chapter did, Texas Hill Country did, was put together a social Zoom that was just free for all members and even those that wanted to join in. And I've had people tell me that that was a major life event for them because it allowed them to stay connected. It allowed them to continue to see what was going on in the industry. And that was something that, you know, we just sort of put together on the fly as a chapter, and it kept people connected in a time that was very terrible for our industry. And one of the things I did too, you talk about global and CMPs as we did earlier, but I took a couple of classes. One was it was a certification class in designing events and meetings, inclusive meetings, and another one that's on sustainable meetings. And it was very informative. I think I just paid for them on my own, but learned a lot. And that education is available for you as an MPI member online.
Lachelle, you had something to add?
Yes, I was just going to go back to saying, as far as how it helped me in my career working with Visit Frisco, it just opened up a lot of opportunities, volunteering, networking with possible new clients and old clients that I already have, is just, you know, being recognized by your peers. All of those things help you build your confidence, and it just kind of changed things for me. So I know that when we are talking to new members and any advice that we can give them, when we bring them on and we ask them, you know, what are your strengths? You know, what do you want to do? I hope that they really think about what they want to do, because it's just not a question that we're asking. It's could be the start of a whole new career for them if, you know, if they think about it and they say, well, this is what I'm good at and this is what I want to do. Even if it's not what you're doing in your job, we'll find the opportunity for you to do that within this organization. And it's kind of neat to watch them grow. So hopefully someone was able to watch me grow.
Yeah, we turned you into a journalist, right?
Yes, you did.
You know,
actually,
Lachelle, it's the old adage of you'll only get out of something what you put into it. And I think for all of us sitting here, I think we're a testament that we have gotten so much from MPI from the little bit that we've put into it. Not some of it's put a lot, some of the little, it doesn't make any difference. You put something into it, you put something of you into the association, and what you get back is just almost immeasurable.
Absolutely.
Yes, I agree.
Actually, that was sort of our closing question. So let's hear from Joe, Cherry Kay, and Annette about advice that you would give, maybe not just a new member, but just maybe a member that hasn't quite figured out their way yet. I mean, what advice would you give, Annette?
There we go. Yes, definitely to get involved. There's so many great opportunities, not only for networking, but also to participate in for me, educational component was very important. I learned a lot. The guest speakers were always very good. And I really think the more you put in, like some of my colleagues said, the more you will get out of it.
Absolutely true. Cherry Kay, how about you?
Yeah, I was actually, that was what I was thinking about, what Manette said. It's just, all of our education, we get our CEs a majority of the time for education. So if you have your CMP and you're working to stay certified, you can get your CE component. It's just, that's one amazing opportunity you have with MPI. And another one is there's so much history in our chapter, from the new people coming on and the seasoned ones that are still there. It's just amazing what you can how you can move up in life, or how you can just stay focused, and it's just, and we have Facebook friends. I mean, it's just Instagram friends. We know about these cities, like we know about Frisco, we know about San Antonio, and we know about Arlington. It's just pretty amazing that it can not just be for your professional life, but you can grow with your personal life as well. I just say it's a place you really want to be at our Hill Country chapter.
Yeah, I'm going to spin off of that, and then we'll close with Mr. Bedsole. But what you all have sort of said is that you get back much more than you put in. But the main thing is just getting involved, just raising your hand and saying, I can try that. Hey, you know what? I'm in sales. How do I meet more meeting planners? Well, join one of the membership committees. You'll be reaching out to new members and old members and planners every day. So just you can really make it happen for yourself if you just make the effort. I've talked to people, and they're saying, I don't know if I'm going to rejoin MPI. I haven't gotten any business out of it, right? And I go, how is that true? I mean, what have you done? I mean, what have you done to get business? And it's like, oh, well, I go to networking events, I hand out business cards. I'm no sales manager, but that's not how you get business. You get business by building relationships, and you get relationships by joining committees, joining the board, and working at it. And if you do that, if you put that effort in, then you'll achieve your goals, whatever they are. So what do you think, Joe? Let's close it out.
I couldn't agree with everybody any more than I already do. For me, it's always been about the business to business connections, those peer to peer connections, which is the reason that many of us join, along with the education. And then I will also have to throw in there the opportunity for leadership experience, because you can join those committees, you can join, you can chair those committees, you can join the board of directors, you could be a director. And in this particular industry organization, doesn't matter your membership type, you can be president. And that's something that is just an amazing experience that will teach you a lot. And when I became involved with this chapter again, it was back in 2007, and I had taken the Arlington job. Wasn't even in it for a year, and I had not moved yet. Arlington had not moved me to Austin yet. I came down and I went to the banquet that was, I believe it was Donna's banquet from her first term as president. And I had been working with Missy Floyd on a 3-year program for the association she was with at the time. And we just happened to start talking when she came to Arlington a couple of weeks later and said, there's an opening on the current board. And I thought, you know what, I'd love to get back involved in MPI again. And she's like, all right, I'm going to call Debbie Farnham. I had never met Debbie, and put your name in the hat. So, or put your name in front of her. So we talked the next week, and I came down the following month for my first board meeting in San Marcos, and actually showed up to Grins, and nobody was there. And I called Debbie. I said, hey, where is everybody? She goes, Joe, I hate to tell you, but the board meeting was yesterday. little trivia snippet for you that I missed the first board meeting. But these leadership opportunities are amazing, and it's going to be, as MPI will be, what you make of it.
Well, Joe Bedsole, Lachelle Evans, Annette Nixon, Sherry K. Abel, Debbie Farnham, my friends, and all of our new friends that are coming into THC or that have been here for a while. Thanks for spending a little bit of time with us today. We've really enjoyed it, and I hope you've learned a little bit of something. And we're all here for you too. So just give us a call, pick up the phone, send us an email, and you got questions, we got answered, because we are so old and have been around for so long. We just have all this
Talk for yourself.
knowledge that we're just trying to get rid of. So anyway, thank you all. And we'll see you on Zoom.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Okay. And Jennifer wanted us to stay on and put on big smiles, and she's gonna can you do that, Jennifer? Okay. Can you do the screenshots?
Sure.